Hi, my name is Pete Blackshaw with Nielsen Digital Strategic Services. I recently had a chance to present to a number of folks over at P&G around the topic of if the consumer's in control, what next? What we know today is that consumers have unrivaled power to amplify their voice, share their opinion, give recommendations to others, mash up their opinions with other consumers to increase leverage, and it creates both challenges and opportunities for brands. And one of the things I talked about and believe is critically important is that brands in this type of environment, before they go out and start conversations with these empowered consumers, is to really figure out new models for listening to the conversation in a way that they can sense and respond and engage appropriately, to really figure out where it's appropriate, responsible, and okay to have these dialogues. One thing that I talked about is that in this world where the consumer is in control, shapes the message, talks with others, is that our brand credibility is critical to protect. And I talked about 6 drivers of brand credibility: trust, transparency, authenticity, listening, responsiveness, and affirmation. Affirmation is if you type in P&G into Google, either you're affirmed or you're not. And increasingly, that's becoming really important as search, as Wikipedia, as other reference points that consumers pursue in a pre-purchase mode, dial up in importance. Some of the takeaways that I highlighted towards the end of my presentation are that, in addition to having a good listening infrastructure in place, it's important for us to really rethink the purchase funnel. What happens in the purchase funnel? Well, we know in an internet-enabled world where consumers are smarter and savvier, increasingly doing a lot of research, that sometimes they stumble into the brand. We may go to Google and be thinking about how to make myself beautiful, and suddenly we stumble into content from Olay, or maybe it's a consumer recommendation about Olay, maybe it's about Unilever. But the idea is that there's a curiosity, exploratory, discovery element of the purchase funnel that we really need to think about, because the conversations that we create and manage can have a big impact on what consumers see at that due diligence phase. Similarly, we have awareness, trial. At the end of loyalty is advocacy, and we're in an age where loyalty is no longer enough. We have to go for advocacy. We have to think about the things that we do to delight the consumer, to drive propensity to recommend. What is going to prompt a consumer to go to Olay.com or Pampers.com and write a positive review? We can't buy the review, we have to earn the review, and therefore we're going to have to think a lot more about just keeping that consumer loyal. We want to make them advocates. Those incremental value adds are going to make a huge difference in turning them into our advocates. Similar, we need to think hard about how to make a bigger welcome mat for the consumer. Big fan of how do we think about things like consumer affairs or website touch points and really making them warm, inviting, really speak with empathy to consumers. Those are big opportunities. And again, a lot of iteration, sense, and respond. We don't need to get it right. I know from my experience at P&G, sometimes we really wanted to get everything right so we could write the white paper, put out those truths. But the reality is, in an internet world, there's an opportunity to learn a lot without spending a lot of money, and this is where listening plays a really, really important role. So listen, sense, and respond, and ultimately you'll get to the right place. And then lastly, I would say, and I think this is a very important message for our partners at P&G, is that revisit the fundamentals. We don't need to reinvent the space to figure out how to manage a world of the consumer in control. We've always been smart listeners, but we know that the internet really makes our ears much, much bigger. We've always known that things like sight, sound, and motion vis-a-vis TV is important, and now it's been ported to the web vis-a-vis video and other forms of rich media, so we simply need to translate those fundamentals. We've always known that category management is important in the context of what shows up on shelf, first moment of truth. It's equally important in an online world where consumers are searching or going to Wikipedia. And where our brand sits, positive or negative, on that shelf may very well impact awareness and trial and reputation. So again, a lot of what we're talking about here is grounded in old fundamentals. Use those to strengthen your transition to the digital space. There you have it, a few top lines. The slides are available, and we'll help you out in any way we can. My name is Pete Blackshaw with Digital Strategic Services at Nielsen. Thank you.